deputy leader. Ooh. Um, this is the deputy leader Hustings, run by the Muslim Greens, which I'm a part of. I'm the membership officer. The Jewish Greens, with Vivian and Sam representing, and the Humanist Greens with Paul. Yeah, it's really nice to have everyone here. Unfortunately, not all the deputy candidates were able to attend. Chaz had a bereavement, so is unable to join us. Antoinette is unavailable. And I believe Rachel is at a campsite and she has sent a message that I'll read out in a moment. And Ash has work commitments. And I believe Thomas Dorr is joining shortly. But we're going to get started anyway. So we're going to have an intro of 1 minute for the candidates that are here. And then I'll read out the statements from Rachel. And then we have questions from the committee that we've decided on. And then I will ask people who have pre-submitted a question, if they're already here, to ask their question. And then the candidates will have 1 minute. And then if you want to respond, you'll have the chance to. And then if we have time, which we possibly might, we'll go to questions in the chat. But we have quite a few questions that are pre-submitted, so we'll see how it goes. I have a timer that I'm hoping that everybody will be able to see. Alex, are you okay to start the introductions? And then we'll go to Annie and then Frank. I think those are the only three that are here at the moment. Okay. Alex, you ready?
Yep, all good. Thank you. So good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming. So I am Alex Mace, and I use the pronouns he, him. I'll be upfront now and say I'm an atheist, but I don't believe in God or gods, but that doesn't mean that faith or belief or scripture mean nothing to me. I grew up attending a Church of England school in Wales, and that taught me not just how many roads must a man walk down, but also a great deal about morals, ethics, and more. I'm sure that the experience growing up Jewish or Muslim teaches many similar things. So I am a city councillor and co-leader of the Green Group here in Worcester, as well as vice chair of the Policy and Resources Committee. I'm also the election strategy officer for Worcester Green Party. And in May, we delivered the most councillors in Worcester for the county council and won the popular vote for the third year running, beating Labour, Conservatives, Liberal Democrats and Reform across the city of Worcester.
Great, thank you. Could you see my timer? Could everybody see that? Okay, cool. Annie, are you ready?
Yep. Hi, thanks. I'm Annie Townsend. I'm a councillor in Bristol. I'm on my third term, and I've been the Green Group leader. I was coordinator or chair of Bristol Green Party when we had our sort of monumental success of getting 34 councillors and the administration, as well as Carla Denia as our MP. I used to be the electoral returning officer for the party as well. I don't have faith myself anymore, but I was raised as an evangelical Christian, and I've studied a lot of theology, and I've read the Quran, and I've read Book of Mormon. That's an interesting one. A lot of different versions of the Bible in a range of translations, and so I have a lot of enthusiasm for a wide range of beliefs and sort of intersectional approaches to how we do things. Thank you ever so much for organising a joint hustings. This is great. Thank you.
Thanks. Why is it making a sound?
That wasn't me.
Okay, Frank, are you ready?
I am. That must be my introduction music. My name's Frank Ellington Stringer. I'm a councillor in North East Derbyshire, and I'm the vice chair of the Environmental Scrutiny Committee here. In 2024, I ran for mayor of the East Midlands, and we came third in a record-breaking result here. It was at the time the only region with a Reform MP, and we were really fortunate to be able to beat them in that election. And I've got that elections experience not just from that, but working as a campaign organizer as well across the country, helping to support campaigns and to make sure that we get Greens elected in red seats, in blue seats, in urban seats, and in rural seats. And in this election, I'm fortunate to be the candidate with the most nominations, the most endorsements, and I'm really proud to have that support from a wide range of people. And I'm standing on a platform of widening our electoral success, breaking through on social media and having excellent comms. And likewise, I'm just really pleased to see this hosting in this format and all of us coming together. So I'm looking forward to questions tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. I thought I saw Rachel in the chat, but maybe she's disappeared. Oh, you're here?
Am I here? Can you see me?
Yeah.
So I'm just to say I'm in a tent in France on a rainy evening. So if the connection has already dropped once. So I'm very sorry if that does happen. But I'm hoping you can. Can you hear me? Can I?
Yeah.
Is it all? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Let's hope you can do it for the whole minute. The connection will stay.
Let's hope. So yeah, thanks so much. It's really great to be here. My name is Rachel Millward. I'm a councillor in Sussex. I actually share the leadership of Wealdon District Council, which is a rural council. We took over from 50 years of Conservative domination, and we sort of refreshed. We have a completely new vision that Wealdon be a place where people and nature thrive together, and we deliver an awful lot to make Wealdon greener, fairer, and kinder all the time through housing and health centres and nature restoration and all sorts. It's a really wonderful experience seeing the difference it does make when you get Greens in power. And as part of that, I also do a lot of media work. I'm often on the BBC's Politics South East sofa and have debated all major parties and very much exposed the lies of reform there. And my professional background is in the cultural sector, leading various different organisations and generally a point of growth and change. So I'd love to sort of bring that experience of knowing how to grow and how to grow well and how to communicate better and get the message to wider people or a wider group of people.
I don't know how to change the music. I'm really sorry. I think
I hear it. I can't hear it.
Okay. Okay. So I think we're ready for questions now. Okay. So the question that we have is, we are in an era of increasing attacks on minorities and religious practices. Obviously, we've had riots in the last year, and obviously the rise of the far right is making the environment of the UK a bit more divisive. And so a lot of attacks on minorities have been increasing, obviously with the Israel-Gaza war as well. So how would the Green Party, or how should the Green Party respond? So I'm going to go with Annie first, then Frank, then Alex, then Rachel. Is that okay? And then I can rotate it around. You have 5 minutes for this. 5 minutes?
1 minute?
1 minute, sorry. Yes, 1 minute.
So
that'll be
I could talk for a long time, but yeah, maybe not 5 minutes.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yeah, we have had. So last year we had riots in August in Bristol as well. The Asylum Hotel is in my ward, and I stood there with my colleague Sibs defending the Asylum Hotel last year. Quite scary. Did almost get bottled. That was dramatic. And we have unfortunately had quite a lot more far right activity in Bristol, even though Bristol's assumed to be quite a left-wing city. And we had again this Saturday as well, where we were out in force to stand against the far right. And what we need to do is that we have got all the policies and the values to tackle the deprivation that is at root of the fear that is exploited and used and for division by reform. And we have those policies. We need to unapologetically talk about our policies and keep promoting our policies that have empathy at their heart.
Thank you. Okay, on to Frank.
Thank you. And it's so important that we're able to talk about this because our communities are at threat, vulnerable people in the places that we call home, feeling a way which we really hope nobody should ever feel. And so it's really crucial that we as Green Party do tackle this head on. And I believe as a party that revolves around positivity, hope, compassion, listening to others, that we can offer that real alternative. And by taking back the narrative and offering a politics of truth, of fact, that we can offer an alternative that people want to vote for. And it is building that movement through community, reaching out to groups across the places that we want to get Greens elected, that we make sure that people feel safe and that they feel have a politics that they want to choose. And that absolutely revolves around electing candidates from a diversity of background and making sure that we have representative voices who can stand up for people who are facing completely unprovoked attack.
Thanks. Alex?
Sorry, I'm enjoying the balance of a very serious subject with it being played off like the Oscars at the end. There's three stages, I think. So at the time, protesting against those who would divide us and speaking up. And I know, Mothin and Annie and Tom have all been on social media recently doing that, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. In the immediate aftermath, we should be condemning and calling out the politics of division, of othering and dehumanising others. And we have to point out that the issues are underlying the hate and what we're going to do about it, because I think too often other parties react in a very knee-jerk manner. They blame migrants. When they blame migrants, we should point out the systemic destruction of our public services and social safety net by the governments of Conservative and the Labour government. How we'd fix it through a wealth tax and investment. When people say that trans women and trans men can't access single spaces, we should point out that the real danger is men, full stop. It's male violence, male entitlement, male privilege that so warps our society. And long term, as I've said before, integrate those minorities and religious groups into our party as candidates, as elected people, so they're making policy and can be heard.
Thank you. Rachel, I hope you're okay.
Thank you. I'm here. Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said already. And I guess for me, I grew up in a faith community. It's kind of where I learned to look after each other, to look after the vulnerable, to speak out for the oppressed, to acknowledge that we're all in this together. This is our home. And I think just agreeing with all the points of standing firm, standing together, saying no to division, saying no to hate. And I keep thinking about the sort of Martin Luther King quote, isn't it? Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And I think we need to be really rigorous within ourselves as well about having a culture where we really do accept each other and cultural differences. And if we want to engage with communities, we obviously that includes faith groups of all different kinds, and sort of building those relationships and building those bridges, and understanding that within every faith community there are people who probably more people than most communities, who are really looking for liberation and compassion and have values that we share, and we share a hope. And sort of so to kind of lean into the positives of that is sort of in addition to all the things everyone else said.
Great, thank you very much. Does anyone want to respond to anything that anybody else has said? We can move on to the pre-submitted questions. Okay. Cool. Do we have Ben Samuel in the chat?
Oh, you're going to put me first?
Yeah, alphabetical.
How can I support you if you become deputy leader and if you're elected?
Okay. I'm going to go in reverse order. So I'm going to go with Rachel, then Alex, then Frank, then Annie. Okay.
Hi. That's a lovely question. Thanks for the question. Because I think it taps into what we absolutely need, which is connection. And I don't think anyone can be in any leadership role without listening. Listening is a hell of a lot of what leadership is all about, and really understanding where the party's at and where the different groups within it are at, and different experiences, because you can't possibly, as one individual, no matter what experience we have, no matter what identities we have, you cannot possibly know how everything is landing with everybody and what the particular issues and struggles or hopes or dreams are across the party. And so it's massively communication, like being in touch and sharing what's going on, and then invite me to everything so I can come, not to like, oh, you can invite me to everything, but invite me to things so that I can come and meet people and connect and yeah, and lead better because I understand more. I think that's the main thing that comes to mind. But I love the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to interrupt Sarah to say that Thomas has joined us, another candidate.
Oh, hi, Thomas. Thomas, do you want to do you want to do the introduction statement now, and then you can answer the next question last? Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I do apologize that I'm like I retrofitting something and they asked me to drop something back, so I just got a little bit tied up this evening. Yeah, sorry, I'll do a little intro then. Hi all, my name is Thomas Dorr. I'm one of the councillors here in North Somerset. I represent Rington Ward, and for the last 2 years, I've been the youngest councillor for the Greens. I'm running to be deputy leader because I genuinely believe that the current climate in politics, having someone young and having someone full of energy is going to really help boost the party. Our highest kind of voting ratings are amongst young people, and I think that it's really important that we represent those who we represent, basically. But yeah, I'm just thrilled to be able to run this campaign and to meet so many other people. And thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just remind people of the question that Ben asked. It was, how can I support you if you get elected? So I'm going to go back to Alex now to answer that question.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, for the question. So I think the number one thing I would say to anyone, if they're supporting me if I get elected, is to get involved in the party. It's very easy, I think, as members sometimes to think, well, I'm a member of the Green Party now, then I just need to sit back and wait and they will get elected. The most important thing is to get involved. Tell me what you need, whether it's you personally to stand as a candidate, or what help you need to get involved locally. What your local party needs to do a better job and stand more candidates and win more elections. If you're already doing that, what steps that you're encountering that are blocking you from doing even more. If you've already chosen to be a candidate, definitely keep going, but talk to more people, especially from minority communities, and ask them if they will stand and what their blockers are. Share social media and post Vote Green on everything on Facebook, because Reform do that, and I think we really should do more of Vote Green.
Thank you. Frank? Are you ready, Frank?
Oh, I am. Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself.
Oh, I think somebody has them here echo. Vivian, do you mind muting Jenny, please? Oh, thank you. Okay, Frank, are you ready?
Thank you, and thank you for the question, Ben. It's a different question to the kind of questions we've had so far, and it's nice to have that engagement between us as candidates and potential deputy leaders with the rest of the party, and how we can all work together, because ultimately, come September, whatever happens in these elections, we're all one party, right? And I think internal elections sometimes make us forget that, but we've all got to come back together and work for the greater good of the things that we all believe in. And so I would ask you to continue doing what I'm sure you already are, which is being open, being honest, listening to people, talking about the things that matter most to you, and making sure that we're a party that moves forward with unity, with passion, and is bold and ambitious and believes in itself and wants to take our party to the next level. I think this will take each and every one of us to get involved and to really fight the uphill battle that we have with the rise of Reform, but also to celebrate where we are as a party right now, which is at our peak, and to make sure that we continue to grow. So thank you for all you're doing, and I hope to see even more of us working together in the future.
Thank you. Annie?
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. It's a good question. As others have said, it's not one that we've sort of thought the thing that gets focused on in these elections, and that's largely because we are a grassroots, bottom up party. That's how we create a democracy. That's how we create a policy, and that's what makes us different as a political party. And yet, at times like this, we can quite often get pulled into forgetting that that's what we're about, and get pulled into the more hierarchical, top down idea. But we can quite often get asked, like, what are going to be our policies? And it's not about our policies as individuals, it's what are the policies of the party. And so the best thing that, regardless of who wins, it is for people to know that they can approach us and to talk to us, and whoever the leaders are, deputy leader, and don't be afraid. We're not different or special. Whoever wins, we are normal members, same as anybody else, and we're just as, so everybody has a voice and everybody should feel very comfortable to connect with them.
Thank you. I figured out how to turn the alarm sound off. So from now on it'll be off. Okay, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I mean, how to help us if we're deputy leaders? I mean, probably the best way to do it is to contact us. Me personally, if you give me a message, give me your social medias, anything like that. Send me a message about what's going on in your area, stories that I can retell on the platform, something that's going to make the Green Party more visible. Anything like that is normally the best way, because while I'm in the Southwest, I really enjoy knowing what's going on across the entire country. And something that I found quite useful with Zach and Carla is that sometimes I just send them a message on something and they get back to me. So I think a little bit like what Annie said is that, we're all still going to be members, still very accessible. So just kind of reach out and let us know what's going on. My favorite thing to do is to travel the country and see new places and meet new people. So I'm absolutely happy to come out.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody, I'm going to give everybody the opportunity to respond if you want. Otherwise we can move on to the next question. I'll take that silence as we'll move on to the next question. Okay. Prashant, are you in the chat? I don't think so. I will read the question out. How will you counter voices that equate anti-Semitism to anti-Zionism and thusly propagate Islamophobia and anti-Arab and anti-Palestinian sentiments? Very complex topic for 1 minute. So the order I'm going to go with this time, I'm going to go with Frank first, then Rachel, then Thomas, then Annie, then Alex. So okay. Okay. Frank, you have 1 minute.
Far too big a question for 1 minute, but I'm going to do my best. During the local elections that have just gone by last May, the Conservatives who I was standing against accused me of being anti-Semitic. They pointed to a post on my social media in which I called out the Israeli government for its actions, its genocide, and they didn't ever say that anything I actually said was anti-Semitic. They said I contributed to an anti-Semitic feeling because the video I used had music and that was unprofessional. And this is the kind of thing that we are up against when we are talking about really difficult issues in a way that's trying to be accessible and engaging. Opposition parties want to try and use that against us and weaponize it. What we can do is talk about policy, not people. And as long as we talk about the actions that we want to see, we criticize government and we avoid talking about people, that is how we do this effectively. And I think it's our responsibility to make sure we continue to do that.
Thank you. Did I say Annie was next? I believe. No, I said Alex was next. No, guys, there's too many people.
Wait, you said so Frank, then Rachel, then
Oh,
Alex, and no, then Tom, then Annie, then Alex.
yes, sorry. 5 people. I don't know how you remembered that. That was very good. Thank you.
It's the autism.
Okay, sorry, Rachel. Are you ready? I hope Rachel's ready.
Hi, I completely missed the question, I'm afraid. I
Oh,
got
sorry.
disconnected and came back in.
Okay, I'll repeat it for you. How
Thank
will you counter voices that equate anti-Semitism to anti-Zionism and thusly propagate Islamophobia and anti-Arab and anti-Palestinian sentiments? This was submitted by Prashant Kumbat.
Yeah, so I think we do have people within the party who articulate really clearly as Jewish people that in a way the Jewish experience and the kind of horrors of Holocaust in that collective memory drives them to want to speak out against the genocide of the Palestinian people. And so it's absolutely not a faith issue. It's a political issue, and the treatment of one community of people by another towards another. And I think, yeah, that's just absolutely clear to me. It's like I studied theology, and it's very clear to me within any religion, there's a complexity of worldview and of politics. I often talk about how in South Africa, the South African apartheid was kind of set up by one aspect of the church, and yet another. It was the church that drove the liberation struggle that defeated it as well. You can't peg a particular behavior on a religion. It's a sort of hateful, distracting narrative to do that, and it's very clearly not in any way a Jewish value to be in any way involved in the hateful harming and erasure of another people. So it is very important that we speak out against actions that are so clearly wrong. And I've gone way over time. So there we go. Sorry, just noticed the clock. Sorry.
I realized it was a very complex question. So, but thank you very much for your answer. Thomas, I'm going to give you a minute. It's okay if you go slightly over. Is a complex question.
Yeah, I completely. I think the most important thing is that being in the kind of deputy leader light is that we're going to get these kind of accusations because we are standing on a platform and we are speaking something that, you know, the establishment believes is not true, and therefore they will try and taint what we are saying with untrue sentiments. It's what's happened for many years in the political. Yeah, I think the most important thing is to be educated and stay educated on the topics, is to know what kind of lines are circling around in the media at the time, understand what kind of, you know, battles or insults, basically what people are going to throw at you, and those kind of untrue accusations, and ensure that you are educated enough to have a line to come back on those, because it will look far worse if someone just turns around and goes, no, I'm not anti-Semitic, and then doesn't give that backing on that education on why they're not. We have to be it's a very, very difficult area at the moment in politics. There's a lot of tension, a lot of controversy with it. So we need to make sure that what we are saying is completely truthful and that we hold that line.
Great. Thank you very much. Annie.
Thanks. Yes, obviously a big topic with a huge amount of nuance, and I think it's really important that for those in leadership, spokespeople, and also just as councillors generally, anybody who has scope to be asked for comment on any of this, is to be really clear on the nuances of it and the nuances of language, because there will always be an attempt to trip us up, whether or not it's on something that we put on social media, whether or not it's a question that we get asked in an interview, off the cuff, maybe a pre-prepared one. The trips and the traps are always going to be there. And I'm not Jewish and I'm not Muslim, and I always strive to centre the voices of those affected by these things. And unfortunately, some of my colleagues, I have Jewish colleagues and I've got Muslim colleagues in Bristol, and they have been targeted by the far right with these very same accusations over time in the last 2 years in particular. And so it's about making sure that we support our Muslim and Jewish colleagues when they get attacked and their words get twisted and manipulated into meaning something that they're not, making sure that anybody who's in a position of privilege and having a voice within the party, we don't aid any of that tripping up by make sure we have our nuances of language pinned down, and then supporting our colleagues when they get tripped up and get caught out, or their words being manipulated into meaning something that they didn't mean to mean, or they didn't even say, as if Frank saying, that's not where he was going from, and that's not what it was. But we'll always get those manipulations. So supporting each other, because I know it's really been impactful upon my colleagues here in Bristol, and the support of the rest of us, knowing that we are supporting them goes a long way as well, because my poor Muslim colleagues have really been under attack on this particular one as well recently, as have my Jewish colleagues.
Thank you very much.
Also miss the Oscar music. That was quite a good one.
Alex.
Thank you, and I have to say I'm very impressed with how well all my fellow candidates have spoken on this. I will try to live up to that standard. So thank you, Prashant, for the question. I think the initial part of the question about people who equate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, I mean, the key in there is if you're doing that, you're not acting in good faith, and it's almost not worth directly debating that person if they are doing that, because they're coming from an initial position that can't be argued with because it's not based on logic. And I think it's very easy to throw around kind of any ism words and shut down conversations, when really the way forward with these kind of situations is to have a dialogue and treat people with empathy. And I remember an incident that will stick with me forever, that when I was in university, which is a very long time ago now, I was talking to somebody who was from an Arab background, and I said something about Israel. We weren't even talking about the situation in Israel, Palestine. And she stopped me and corrected me and said, "No, Palestine." And it was something I'd never encountered in my life until that point. And it's very easy in those kind of situations to feel it as an attack on your own ego and shut down. And I did then what I've always tried to do since, which is reflect on what I said and why they had corrected me and move forward from there. So I think that's just dealing with people with empathy and understanding where they're coming from is the way forward. But narratives that are out there, I mean, they're just bad faith, and we just have to tell our own story of what we think the situation is based on the evidence. And most right-thinking people, I think, will hear that and move forward with us.
Great. Thank you very much. Does anyone want to say anything more in response to another candidate? I know Frank was first to go, and he was very good to keep to the minute, and then I gave everyone a little bit longer. So do you want to say anything else, Frank?
I'm just going to use my last 30 seconds to say how nice it is that we can sit here as candidates and to be able to talk about how we should be able to, as a party, speak up for vulnerable people, speak up against injustice, and do so with such compassion and respect. And I am so proud to be of a party that believes in that. And I just feel we are all so lucky in the Greens to be able to sit here tonight and to know that that's the party that we are of. And yeah, just a massive thank you to not just the candidates, not just the people in this room, but to everyone in our party who is making sure that we are that voice of reason.
Thank you. Very nice. Anybody else, or I can move on to the next question? Great, doing quite well for time. Okay. Okay, Faisal, are you in the call? I believe you are.
Hi everyone, yes I am. Thanks, Lara.
Thanks. Do you want to say your question?
There's a couple of parts to my question. Firstly, faith communities around the country, they're a very important resource. Labour and the Tories have tapped into this over decades and use these as vote banks. But we're right now at a period in time where all the chips are on the table, so everything's there to play for. So how will the candidates ensure that they use the faith groups like Jewish Greens, Muslim Greens, etc., as bridges to those electorates within those faith communities? First of all, and secondly, how will you balance competing priorities? So, for example, male circumcision within the faith communities, for example, in the Muslim community, that's part of our religion. Also, rituals of religious slaughter, halal, kosher, etc. How will you balance that with voices that want that posed or banned? So 2 bits. Sorry, I sneaked in 2 sneaky questions there, Zara.
It's okay. I'm going to give the candidates 90 seconds to respond because there's 2 bits to the question. If you're happy with that. Okay, so the order, and I will get this right this time.
Sorry, can I ask if we
May I interrupt for a moment to let
Yeah.
you know that I've put Faisal's question in the chat.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much.
if you're having difficulty, because there's quite a long one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to ask if we could take it in as if it was 2 questions and do 1 minute on the first and another minute on the second.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got time for that. Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Okay, so I've got an order. So Thomas is going to start because he's been the last for a couple of times, and then Alex, then Annie, then Frank, then Rachel. Let me just get the timer up. Okay. Thomas, are you ready?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll go for the first bit. Start with, interestingly, so like here in the constituency that I stood for during MP, Western Supermare, it has a growing it has a growing Muslim kind of faith at the moment, and they're trying to get a mosque built in the high street or just like in the town centre, somewhere that they can have to be their own. And I've been seeing quite a lot of just like how Facebook has been really targeting it as this kind of, it's overtaking. But actually I looked at it and it's really good to see a place on the high street that's been empty for so long being taken in and being brought into something different. And they're just like any other kind of community centre in my opinion, is that they're a third space for lots of people to kind of go to places and talk about talk about whatever really, mainly faith in this case, and we're losing so many of those third spaces, and it's really massively negatively affecting people's health, people's ability to communicate and just generally see each other. I'd be very much supportive of the Greens being on board, any Greens that there are on other councils being supportive of these kind of places. And the second one as well, coming on to the kind of how do we balance the priorities? To me, I mean, like, neither of these things kind of directly affect me. So I don't think that it's for me to kind of talk about how I deal with these things. I think it's the ability for me to listen to the people that they have these practices in their life and how what kind of effect it has for them, but also to allow that actually anyone who wants to have these practices that aren't in these religious groups also have the ability to have it. Stuff like marriage for all communities as well, different kinds of marriage. That's what I'd be looking to do, is making it more open.
Great, thank you very much. Alex.
So thank you, Faisal, for the questions. So the way it was said originally, rather than what's written down, I was pushed back on slightly, which is how will the candidates ensure they will use faith groups as bridges? I absolutely I want to work with faith groups rather than using them, because it is really important to reach out to all communities, and our existing faith groups in the Green Party I think are a really excellent way of getting advice of how we can get into those communities to get them to stand, because not just because we want to win in those areas, but because we want to have representation that is representative of the people in those areas. I know in Worcester, we've been working very hard in a couple of our wards that have very large Muslim communities to reach out to people who have stood as independent candidates before and see if they would be interested in working with the Green Party, and getting advice from local Muslim groups and mosques, saying like, what can we do to tell people about what we're doing for the Green Party, get them involved, and then help us. And then once we've got them to join, hopefully then we can push them to join the special interest groups within the Green Party, so we can help you by feeding back, getting those members and saying, these things exist for you to join if you want to. On the second part of the question about balancing completing priorities, I mean, I have had a resident who contacted me who was white from a Jewish background and asked me about why we weren't doing more to ban things like kosher and halal slaughter. And I think my response to that is similar, in that I don't think we're going to do anybody any favors if we concentrate on dealing with the religious practices of minority groups within the country. We're much better off, for at least with meat, is working to get more people eating a plant-based diet, so that we're reducing meat overall, so that all types of slaughter are reduced. Because I think we're kidding ourselves if we're thinking that non-religious slaughter is also, all fine and good and fine for the animal. Male circumcision, again, that I'd leave that up to a decision for the faith communities themselves. If they want to continue doing that, then that's I would respect for their practices.
Thank you. Annie, you're next.
Thanks. Been joined by Kat now. So, I mean, my politics are intersectional, as I think probably most of us are. So I don't think it is a zero-sum game. It's not like a piece of pie where there's only so many slices of it. There's space for everyone's beliefs to be part of it, and I don't think they should be being pitted against each other. It's great to have Muslim Greens, I know, as a newer special interest group within the party, and Humanist Greens are even newer. I was very pleased to help them with their first inaugural elections about a year ago, I think it was. And it's great. It's good that we have lots and increasing amounts of special interest groups within the party that help strengthen and create more collaboration. It's one of the reasons why I love the fact that three groups have sort of joined together for these hustings tonight. In terms of practical things, in Bristol, I don't have any synagogues in my ward, but in Bristol East, where I stood as a general election candidate, and we did amazingly well within the Muslim community because of our inclusive policies and the way in which we've been working with the Muslim population in Bristol, and we have 3 Muslim councillors in Bristol now. And I've got the largest synagogue in Bristol, in my ward, actually just a couple of doors up from where I live, and working closely with all of those mosques and synagogues and they all work together as well. We've got a multi-faith forum in Bristol, which is something that we've kind of, what you're demonstrating here in the hustings is working together multi-faith, so it doesn't end up being reduced to pieces of pie, being intersectional. None of it takes away from anything else, and nobody's one person's belief shouldn't be ever pitched against somebody else's, and that's something I think that's core to green values and green politics. And again, sake of repeating, but that's what this evening actually demonstrates as well. I think we are doing the second part of the question, so I'd say that things like slaughter practices is protected in law, and so are other faith practices, and making sure that we don't let them be subject to division and using them to divide marginalized demographics or any demographic is something that we should all be striving to resist. And that's another thing that we can and should be doing loudly as Greens.
Thank you very much. Frank.
Thank you, Faisal, for the question. For the first part, I think that inside outside politics is the kind of politics that I believe in, and that we need to be working as a political party to make sure we get more Greens elected, so we're inside the halls of power, so we're able to influence things from within. And that means that we also have to operate with the powers outside of the elected chambers as well. So whilst we can do what we can, we have to make sure we're interacting with our community, that we're communicating well. And that's a responsibility of leadership, whether that be deputy leadership, whether that be the leadership of our party, whether that be as leaders in our communities as elected representatives, to make sure that we're reaching out. And I was working with Worcester Green Party and Alex not that long ago over the local elections. And I was really proud to see in Rainbow Hill, where we had a candidate reaching out to those communities, going and visiting the mosque, going and visiting leaders, and making sure that we as a Green Party are putting in the legwork and not sitting back and waiting for people to approach us. And I think for far too long we as a party have taken that approach. And for me, it's about accountability as well. It's about attending these hustings with liberation groups. It's about making sure our party is a safe space and that everyone feels welcome to be heard. And that kind of brings me on to the second part of this question, which is about these competing priorities. And I love that we disagree. I love it. I think that iron sharpens iron. I think that our democracy of one member, one vote is really important, and that we have to have really good conversations about how we move forward and make a fairer future for everybody. And it's about respecting that our opinions are different. I am a vegan. I don't believe in the slaughter of animals, but we have to respect each other. And I hope that you will respect my opinion as much as I will respect yours. And we will find policy which makes sure that we can build a party which represents not just everyone within our party membership, but everyone outside in our communities. So I don't believe in picking on people and saying we need to ban X, Y, and Z because of this religious group, because of this community. Instead, we need to look at politics as a whole and talk about policy, not the people. And that's something I'll keep coming back to, because it's about collaboration and bringing people with us to build the biggest possible movement.
Thank you very much. And finally, Rachel.
Hi. Hello. Oh, I can't see me, but can you see me?
Yes.
Doesn't matter if I can't see me. Okay, fine. Yes, thanks so much for the question. Again, agree with an awful lot of what's been said already. And as I've said before, that faith communities we can learn an awful lot from our faith communities. Basically, these are communities who are expert on bringing people together, expert on helping the vulnerable and each other, connecting people through diversity, intergenerational, different abilities, looking after people who need that support. And they're driving forces within our society. So of course, we should be proactively connecting and learning and finding where those groups want to work with us, can work with us, and where we can support them. And I think there'll be many shared hopes, shared dreams, shared concerns. I think we're all looking to create a more equal society, to really improve the lived experience for many people. And I just think there'll be an awful lot of common ground. So that's definitely something we need to explore. I used to run a community arts centre in Hackney for a bit, and it was very, very, very diverse communities around. The art centre was actually based in an ancient church, but I connected with faith leaders of all different groups, and we actually co-created a really wonderful experience called Breathe. It was like a celebration of air, and it had an ecological perspective, but also very much the sacred value of the air that we all share, that we breathe. And it was beautiful finding the ways, the points of connection and working together. It's a wonderful thing to do. Second part of the question, got way over time for that. It reminds me of a feminist theologian who I was hearing speak. She was sort of, how could you possibly be a feminist and stay within this patriarchal religion? And she said, no one eats a fish without first picking out the bones. And it's just, there is no, in a way, political parties are a bit like religions. None of us wholesale have the exact same perspective on everything, and nor should we. And we actually have differences, and we need to have that debate and that safety. I totally agree, and respect and understand practices and what they mean. I think there's an awful lot of room for that, and that's deeply important. And I think it's just important that we understand no one on this call will have the exact same perspective as anyone else if we dig into it, and we need to respect that, focus on the priorities, and get the work done.
Thank you very much. Does anybody want to reply to anything that anybody said? Oh, Thomas?
I just wanted to kind of make one point. which is something that I think that a lot of the political parties do quite wrongly. And I think that the Greens have sometimes been part of this, is that seeing faith groups as kind of a block vote, and making sure that actually that we have the kind of individual conversations still with people in these communities, because I saw it a lot during the general election of Labour going, oh well, the Muslim group is going to vote for us anyways, and actually I had a couple of friends that were in the community and just kind of started to have conversations with them and managed to get myself a seat at the table, and it was really clear that actually they did kind of divide in their opinions. So I think it's really important that us as a party, we look at this and remember that they are not, this community is not just one, they also have differencing opinions internally, and we can continue to have conversations with individuals and as the group.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? No. Okay, so we have 8 minutes left. So try to think. We could do one more very quick question for 1 minute each, and then closing statements, which will make us a little bit over time, or we could go straight to closing statements. Is it everybody okay to do one more question? Yeah? Okay. Michael Potter, are you here? No. Yeah, I'm going to read out this question. It's the quickest one. So, what is your view on UBI, so universal basic income? So for this order, I am going to go with Alex, Thomas, Rachel, Annie, Frank. Yes. And then the final closing statement order will be Frank, Annie, Thomas, Alex, Rachel. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. So again, what is your view on UBI? 1 minute. Alex.
Thank you. So 100% support the idea of a universal basic income. I think one of the things I've gone on and on about in our council chamber is that the big rise in mental health diagnoses in this country is not being overdiagnosed, it's the stress and anxiety of existing in the UK in 2025. If you're on benefits already, there's always a constant risk that they're going to be taken away or reduced, and you won't be able to live or afford to live in your house. Even if you're in work, that you won't be able to afford to live and pay your rent. And I think universal basic income is an excellent way of ensuring everyone has enough to have a good life, that they don't take away that stress. And I think that will take away a lot of, reduce a lot of the anxiety and difficulty how people living in the existing country. I think the idea that a universal basic income, I'll stop there, sorry, rather than go on the next point.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thomas.
Yeah, I very much support the idea of it, and I think that as a concept, it's great. However, given the current economic system that we have, I feel like it's really open to abuse, in that, if it means that people then, lose all their other kind of, and that's the basic, and everyone just gets this one thing, then, I can very much see companies starting to put up, the sale of stuff, the pricing of things, because everyone can afford it because they get this X amount a month and rent goes up and those kind of things. So I think that it would work, but it needs to have the system around it to work, because otherwise I genuinely do feel that it could be very open for abuse of profiteering. But also I feel that given the current system at the moment, to me there are more priorities higher priorities for us to be able to, is this the kind of hill that we want to die on, or should we really be focusing on the other stuff that at the moment is more popular and we can get through?
Thank you very much. Rachel.
Oh, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Hating doing this on my phone. Sorry. Yes, it's something that in principle I do support and see it as a kind of would be a revolutionary shift in how our society works and address inequality in a sort of fundamental way, which, going much further than you can imagine other ways to address that. And I think therefore it could have benefits for health and for well-being, and actually for the wider economy, and maybe also for the planet, in that it creates a very sort of differently motivated society, and allows people to work for the common good in different ways. And so I think we all know that the biggest crisis of our time, the cost of living crisis, is the crisis of inequality. That is the issue. It's not a lack of money, it's a distribution issue, and this would be one way of dealing with that effectively.
Thank you very much. Annie?
Yeah, I love UBI. I'm a co-founder of the UBI Lab Bristol, which is an international network of academics and activists that campaign for UBI, and it's been Green Party policy since 78, 79, something like that, because the Green Party recognises that endless economic growth is unsustainable from an economic point of view, but also from a climate emergency point of view. We can't have endless growth under capitalism and actually have a sustainable planet. Yes, there are different models, and it does have to come in conjunction with rent controls, additional amounts for people with disabilities, but it is the only way to create equity, especially, and it's increasingly relevant, actually, ever more relevant than it was in the 70s when it came in, because of automation and AI and the increasing economic collapse that we're facing in this last days of capitalism, that we do need something like UBI to actually bring equity and to prevent mass starvation and deprivation in our society.
Thank you very much. And finally, Frank.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it really short and sweet. UBI is fantastic. I think it's one of the best policies that we have as a party. We need to talk about it far more often, because I think it tackles so many of the structural issues that our country is facing at the moment. I think in this context, perhaps, it's about UBI being able to provide a safety net for vulnerable people who've been exiled or marginalised because of the things that they believe, and making sure that everyone has the support that they need and aren't forced out onto our streets, making sure that everybody, regardless of the things that they think, are able to get on in life and not reliant on others. And just to the other points that have been made, we already live in an abused economic system now, in which people can't afford the basics and are getting ripped off regardless of their income. So I think it's really important that we have a system where we're giving people at least that basic level. And if that means greater regulation too, then and we've got the policy that goes with that. So I think we're there as a party.
Thank you very much. That's all we have time for questions. Thank you to everyone that had pre-submitted questions, and I'm aware that some people had put some questions in the chat, but unfortunately we didn't get to them. But I think we had a good range of questions that addressed the faith groups and humanist groups, and we had a nice range of responses from our candidates that did manage to attend. So thank you very much for attending. I'm going to give everybody 45 seconds to do a closing statement. So I'm going to go with Frank, Annie, Thomas, Alex, and Rachel. But yeah, again, thank you everybody for attending. Let me just set the timer. Okay. Frank, you have your closing statement.
Thank you all for attending tonight. And I think all of us in this room, and hopefully all of our party, understands that now more than ever, we need unity, solidarity, community, and that we need to go out there and get more Greens elected so that we as a movement are able to stand up for vulnerable people. As a campaign organiser who's helped to elect Greens across the country, one of the Greens with the biggest social media presences, someone who understands how we build as a movement, as an elected councillor, I really feel I have the skills to take the party to the next level and to ensure that we can speak up for everyone and deliver for our communities across the country. And I hope that you will join me in that mission of making sure that the Green Party is the real alternative and that we stand up to the hate that's in our communities and build hope together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Annie, you have 45 seconds.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm one of our most experienced candidates. I've been a key part of building Bristol Green Party up from the very small party it was when I joined it to the party that it is now. And I'd love to be able to bring that experience to the rest of the party to support local parties and regional parties to be the best we can, because I'm really ambitious for our party and we need to be the best we possibly can for society and for the planet generally. I've demonstrated over my years in the party that I'm willing and to stand up for marginalised demographics, including my own marginalised demographic, and I will continue to do that as deputy. Also, my cat would like you to vote for me, so please do. He's also very annoying, and I'm covered in fluff.
I love cats. Thank you. Thomas, you have 45 seconds.
Yeah, 45. I don't think I could fill all that space. Also, how am I meant to combat after having a cat thrown on the screen? I might be one of the youngest Greens here. I'm definitely the youngest candidate, but it's always about quality of experience, not just quantity. I've ran huge amounts of campaigns and I have been already all over the country helping getting Greens elected. I'll be up in Newcastle tomorrow and Thursday if anyone's up that way and able to come and help along with the by-election. But you know, all of us candidates are very, very similar. I think that we should be judging it when you go and vote, judge us on kind of, you know, what we've done already and what we're saying, because it's really important that, you know, you get informed about us because we're all very similar, really, really into the detail of it.
Thank you very much. Alex.
Thank you, Zara, for chairing these hustings this evening, and thank you everyone for coming. Now, I stood in this election because I wanted to make the case to scale up what we know works for electing Greens, which is target to win and hard work on the ground. I do agree with others who said that getting our message out more on social media and broadcast and news media would be a great help, but this is the truth. The media in this country are not interested in the Green Party. Particularly social media is interested in division, engagement, clicks and eyeballs for adverts. Now, I'm really grateful to have come to a combined hustings this evening for Humanist, Jewish and Muslim Greens, because the truth is we all have more in common than divides us. And I haven't got a Star Trek quote in through this entire campaign yet, so I'm going to use one now. To quote a Star Trek alien, we are all ugly bags of mostly water. Now, let's remember that and elect more Greens together. Please do remember to rank Alex first.
Thank you very much. And finally, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone who helped organise tonight, everyone who came and engaged. It really is lovely. And this party gives me just massive, massive hope, and I love the fact whenever we gather, I think everybody is here. Everybody is here in service of nature and communities and community and nature and people and planet. We all are. And that is just a beautiful and precious thing. We're here for something so much bigger than ourselves. That's why you joined the Green Party. That's why you're here. And so it feels really fitting that knowing that humanists and people of different faiths are really motivated by that bigger picture, that we're all gathering to discuss it. I spent my life asking what I can contribute in service of communities, in service of nature. I set up an International Women's Film Festival because I wanted to really look at gender inequality in this country. And we did really change the narrative in film, which was such a powerful medium. And now I'm here because I know that the Green Party is the hope for now in the face of the division and the hate and the crises. And that I know we can reach way beyond what we have. I think we've barely begun to tell our story. I think there's so much more out there for the taking. And I'm really, really keen to help us grow and to help us grow well together.
Thank you. So that concludes today's hustings. Thank you again to the candidates for attending, for your answers, and everybody for participating and again, it's really great, as everybody has said, for the Muslims, the Jewish, and the Humanist Greens to come together to organise this hustings. I really hope in the future that we can do more group organised things. Thank you.